dive into the eerie world of doppelgangers and see if I can catch my own creepy twin lurking in the mirror. There's something undeniably fascinating about the concept of doppelgangers. The idea that there's a duplicate of ourselves out there, identical in every way. And for many of us, the first place we think to look for our doppelganger is in the mirror. But have you ever stopped to think about why that is? Why do we associate mirrors with doppelgangers? And what's behind the eerie feeling we get when we catch a glimpse of ourselves in the glass? Our fear of doppelgangers is deeply rooted in psychological and supernatural implications. Seeing ourselves in the mirror can be a surreal experience, especially when we're alone or tired. The lines between reality and reflection can start to blur, and it's easy to feel like there's someone or something watching us from the other side of the glass. It's no wonder that the idea of a doppelganger has been a staple of horror movies and folklore for centuries. The fear of being duplicated, of being replaced by someone who looks just like us, is a deep-seated fear that taps into our primal anxieties. But what if I told you that the fear of doppelgangers goes far beyond just simple superstition? The idea that our reflection is a portal to another dimension, or even a doorway to the soul, has been explored in mythology and folklore from around the world. In some cultures, it's believed that our reflection is a separate entity, a separate consciousness that's bound to our own. And in other cultures, mirrors are seen as a way to communicate with the dead, or to tap into the spirit world. The idea that our reflection is a window into another world is a tantalizing one, and it's an idea that has captured the imagination of people for centuries. From ancient myths to modern-day horror movies, the mirror has been a symbol of the unknown, a portal to a world that's just beyond our reach. And yet, despite the fear and fascination that surrounds the idea of doppelgangers, we're drawn to it like moths to a flame. We can't help but wonder, what's on the other side of the glass? Throughout history, cultures have believed that doppelgangers are harbingers of doom, or even a sign of impending death. In some African cultures, it's believed that seeing your doppelganger is a sign that your soul is being called back to the spirit world. And in other cultures, it's believed that if you see your doppelganger, you'll be cursed with bad luck or misfortune. The list of cultural beliefs surrounding doppelgangers goes on and on, each one more fascinating and terrifying than the last. Take the ancient Greeks, for example, who believed that the doppelganger was a separate entity, a demon that was created at the moment of our birth. According to myth, the demon would follow us throughout our lives, guiding us and influencing our decisions. But if the demon ever got out of control, it could turn against us, becoming a malevolent force that threatened to destroy us. Or take the Slavic myth of the Vila, a female spirit that would appear in mirrors and offer prophecies to those who sought her out. The Vila was said to be a guardian of the mirror, a protector of the boundary between the living and the dead. I've always been fascinated by the story of Emilie Saget, a 19th century Latvian woman who claimed to have seen her own doppelganger in the mirror. According to her account, she would see her duplicate standing just behind her, mimicking her every move. The experience left her shaken, and she spent the rest of her life trying to understand what she had seen. But what's most fascinating about Emilie's story is the emotional impact it had on her. She reported feeling a deep sense of unease and disorientation, as if she was no longer sure of her own identity. As I delve deeper into the world of doppelgangers, I can't help but wonder, have you ever had an experience like Emilie's? Have you ever caught a glimpse of yourself in the mirror and felt a shiver run down your spine? Maybe you've seen someone who looks just like you, or maybe you've experienced something even more inexplicable. Whatever it is, I want to hear about it. Share your own doppelganger stories in the comments below, and let's explore this eerie phenomenon together. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the world of doppelgangers. If you want to explore more supernatural phenomena, be sure to check out my next video, where I'll be delving into the mysteries of ghostly apparitions. Until then, keep looking over your shoulder. You never know who might be watching you from the mirror. Part 1. The First Encounter. For years, the mirror in my hallway seemed unremarkable, a relic from a thrift shop find. It hung in an ornate, tarnished frame, its edges etched with faded floral patterns, a silent sentinel in a dimly lit corner of my home. I barely paid it any attention until the night I stayed up late, alone in the house, flipping through myths and folklore about doppelgangers. It began innocently enough, reading about the ancient Greeks, daemons, or the Slavic legends of Vilas inhabiting mirrors. The more I read, the more something unsettling bubbled inside me. Why do these stories warn so vehemently against staring into a mirror for too long? Why does every culture have a version of this fear? My fascination spiraled. I set a timer on my phone for 3 minutes, a sort of experiment. Would anything happen if I stared directly into the mirror without breaking eye contact? It sounded like the plot of a cheesy internet challenge, but curiosity had me in its grip. Sitting cross-legged on the floor, I stared into the glass. The dim light from the hallway cast an eerie glow, reflecting my face back with exaggerated shadows. My eyes looked darker, deeper, like pools hiding something secret. 1 minute passed. My breath fogged the glass, and I noticed my reflection's movements felt a half second behind my own. 2 minutes. The room behind me seemed to distort slightly. The wall clock hung at a slight tilt, something I had never noticed before, and the shadows danced unnaturally, as if they weren't just a trick of the light. By the time the timer chimed, my skin prickled with unease, but I shrugged it off as a trick of the mind. After all, humans have an uncanny ability to imagine the strange when fixated. Later that night, as I brushed my teeth in the bathroom, I glanced into the mirror. My reflection tilted its head, but I didn't.